Manifestation is the art of aligning your thoughts, emotions, and energy with the reality you want to experience. It is not about forcing things to happen, about tuning yourself into the frequency of what you desire so that it naturally flows into your life. The biggest misconception people have is thinking that manifestation works through control. They believe that by controlling every detail of their life, every outcome, and every person around them, they can force the universe to give them what they want. But in truth, control is the fastest way to block manifestation. When you try to control, you are saying to the universe, "I don't trust you, I don't believe it will happen, and I need to take over because you can't handle it." That vibration is rooted in fear, scarcity, and lack. Manifestation, however, only responds to openness, surrender, and trust. Imagine trying to grow a flower by pulling at its petals every day. You would only kill it. The same thing happens with your desires when you try to control them. You suffocate the process instead of allowing it to bloom naturally. Control often comes from insecurity and the fear of uncertainty. Humans have been conditioned to believe that the only way to achieve something is through planning, managing, and micromanaging every possible outcome. But manifestation doesn't operate on human control, it operates on energetic alignment. For example, someone may desperately want money, so they control every penny they spend, constantly stress about their bank balance, and repeat affirmations while doubting inside. What happens? The universe reflects back their fear and control, giving them more experiences of scarcity and struggle. On the other hand, someone who releases the need to control, who believes money flows to them easily, and who takes inspired action without fear, will often find opportunities and abundance showing up effortlessly. Control creates resistance. Resistance creates delay, and delay often convinces people that manifestation doesn't work. But the truth is, it is always working. It's just reflecting your state of being. When your state is control and fear, you manifest more situations that require control and trigger fear. Think about the last time you tried to control something deeply. Maybe it was a relationship. You wanted the other person to act a certain way, so you monitored them, questioned them, or tried to push them to behave according to your expectations. What happened? Usually that control pushes people away because nobody wants to feel caged. The same principle applies to manifestation. When you try to control your desires, you push them away because you are not allowing them to unfold naturally. Manifestation thrives in freedom, in flow, in ease. It doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. It means you set your intention clearly, align your energy, and then trust the timing. Control blocks this trust. Imagine placing an online order and then calling the store every 5 minutes to ask if it is shipped. That impatience doesn't speed up the delivery. It only drains your energy. Trusting the process is what actually allows it to arrive. The irony is that control feels powerful, but is actually a disguise for powerlessness. When you are in alignment, you don't feel the need to control because you trust that the universe, God or Source is orchestrating everything perfectly. Control, however, comes from the belief that if you don't interfere, nothing will happen. That belief is rooted in separation from the divine flow. True manifestation happens when you recognize that your desires are already created in the energetic realm the moment you think of them. Your only job is to align with them emotionally and vibrationally, not to force them into existence. Imagine ordering a meal at a restaurant and then running into the kitchen to cook it yourself because you don't trust the chef. That's what control looks like in manifestation. You don't need to barge into the universe's kitchen. You just need to stay seated, enjoy your moment, and know the meal is on its way. When you release control, you make space for miracles. Control is heavy, it's filled with stress, worry, and effort. Miracles, on the other hand, are light, effortless, and surprising. They show up when you least expect them, in ways you could never plan or control. Many people miss their manifestations because they are too focused on controlling one specific outcome, instead of staying open to infinite possibilities. For instance, Someone may want love but is controlling the how by demanding it comes from one specific person. In doing so, they block the universe from bringing them a partner who is actually perfect for them. Or someone wants wealth, but insists it must come through their job alone, not realizing that investments, gifts, or new opportunities could provide it much faster. Control limits the universe's creativity. Surrender expands it, and the more you surrender, the faster your desires manifest. Control is born out of fear, and fear is the opposite frequency of manifestation. When you are afraid that something won't happen, you unconsciously send out a signal of lack, and the universe simply mirrors it back. It's important to understand that the universe does not respond to your words. It responds to your vibration. You may say affirmations like, "I am abundant," or "I am loved." But if inside your heart you are controlling the outcome because you don't really believe it's true, the vibration you are sending is still lack. Control is like planting seeds, but constantly digging them up to check if they're growing. That fear-driven interference blocks the natural growth process. Instead of nurturing your vibration and allowing it to expand, you collapse it by trying to manage every detail. The key to manifestation is trust, and trust cannot coexist with control. One of the greatest lessons in manifestation is learning to let go of the how. The universe knows countless ways to deliver your desire, but control tries to lock it into one method only. For example, you may think the only way to get financial freedom is through your current job. So you work harder, push harder, and control every action, while ignoring the fact that opportunities, partnerships, or creative ideas might flow from unexpected places. When you release control, you allow the universe to surprise you. Often, manifestations come through back doors you could never imagine. The how is not your job. Your job is to focus on the feeling of already having what you want. When you feel abundant, the how takes care of itself. When you feel loved, love shows up in ways you didn't plan. Control tries to micromanage the how, but surrender allows the miracle. Many spiritual teachers say, "What you chase runs away." This is another way of explaining how control blocks manifestation. When you chase after something, you declare that it's not here yet, which strengthens the vibration of lack. Control is simply another form of chasing. For instance, when you text someone constantly to make them like you are chasing, and the energy pushes them away. The same applies to money opportunities or dreams. When you try to grip them too tightly, they slip through your fingers. The universe responds more to your energy of ease than your energy of force. Imagine water flowing down a river. If you try to block it with your hands, it creates turbulence and resistance. But if you step aside and let it flow, it moves naturally. Your desires are the same. They flow to you when you stop blocking them with control. Another hidden danger of control is that it keeps you locked in the future, which removes you from the present moment. Manifestation doesn't happen in the future, it happens now. When you control, you are constantly projecting your energy into a tomorrow that hasn't arrived yet. You keep saying, "It will happen when this condition is met," or "I'll feel happy once I see the result." But manifestation requires you to feel the emotion of your desire here and now, before it shows up physically. Control delays this by making you dependent on external results to feel good. The secret is to feel good first, without needing the evidence. That's what aligns your energy with the outcome. Control says, "I'll only relax when I see proof." Trust says, "I already feel it, and the proof will come." Guess which one manifests faster? Always trust. Control also creates attachment, and attachment creates suffering. When you attach your happiness to a single outcome, you put yourself in a prison. You say, "Unless this exact thing happens, I can't feel good." This attachment not only blocks the flow of manifestation, but also keeps you trapped in emotional pain. True manifestation thrives when you release attachment and stay open to better outcomes than you imagined. The universe often has something far greater planned for you than what you are trying to control. For example, someone may want a specific job and control everything around it, but the universe may be preparing a better opportunity they cannot yet see. When they finally release control, the new door opens, and they realize why it didn't work out earlier. Control blinds you to infinite possibilities, but surrender lets you see them. Control is rooted in ego, while manifestation flows through the higher self. The ego wants to manipulate, predict, and dominate because it believes it's separate from the universe. The higher self, on the other hand, knows that everything is already aligned and that you are co-creating with Source, not fighting against it. When you live from ego control, you constantly worry about what will happen, when it will happen, and whether it will happen at all. But when you live from your higher self, you relax into the knowing that it is already done. The gap between desiring something and receiving it is bridged not by control, but by faith. Think of a tree. It doesn't control its growth. It simply exists, and the sun, water, and soil provide everything. If nature doesn't need control to thrive, why would your desires? One of the greatest blocks created by control is tension. When your body and mind are tense, your energy field contracts. A contracted energy field cannot magnetize new experiences. It only repels them. Tension creates a closed circuit. Relaxation, on the other hand, opens your energy field, allowing abundance to flow. That's why meditation, breathwork, or simply enjoying life are powerful tools for manifestation. They help you release control, soften your energy, and raise your vibration. Many people think they need to work harder on their manifestation, but the truth is, working harder often means adding more control, which slows the process. The fastest results come when you are at ease, calm, and detached. The paradox is that the less you try to control, the faster it shows up. Control often disguises itself as discipline or being responsible. While discipline and responsibility are valuable qualities, they become toxic when rooted in fear. For example, setting a budget is responsible, but obsessively checking your account every hour to see if money has arrived is control. Having a vision board is empowering, but staring at it every day with desperation is control. Taking inspired action is aligned, but forcing yourself into constant hustle from a place of fear is control. The key difference is the energy behind the action. Manifestation isn't about doing more, it's about being aligned. When your actions are inspired and flow naturally, they amplify your vibration. When your actions are forced and filled with control, they block it. Ask yourself, am I acting from trust or from fear? The answer will tell you whether you're manifesting or blocking. Control also drains your creative power. When you are fixated on controlling one specific path, you close your mind to the endless creative ways the universe could deliver your desire. Creativity and control cannot coexist. Creativity thrives in openness, imagination, and flow. Control thrives in rigidity, structure, and fear. For instance, you may want success and control your path by saying it must happen through one business idea only. But if that idea isn't aligned, you'll meet obstacles and frustrations. If you allowed creativity to flow instead, you might discover new opportunities, collaborations, or innovations that bring success even faster. The universe is infinitely creative. The more you control, the less space you leave for miracles. The more you surrender, the more creative solutions flood into your life. Perhaps the most subtle way control blocks manifestation is by keeping you focused on lack. Every time you try to control your desire, you reinforce the belief that you don't already have it. You send the message, it's not here yet, and I need to make it happen. That vibration of not here yet is what the universe continues to mirror. Manifestation is about embodying the state of already having it. That's why practices like gratitude, visualization, and affirmations work. They shift your energy into it is done, rather than is missing. Control keeps you in the energy of missing. Surrender moves you into the energy of receiving. The faster you let go of control, the faster you align with the state of having, and the faster your manifestations appear. Control not only blocks manifestation, but also keeps you stuck in cycles of anxiety. The more you try to control, the more anxious you feel when things don't move according to your timeline. This anxiety creates more resistance and delays the process even further. It becomes a self-feeding loop. Control, de-anxiety, resistance, more control. Breaking this cycle requires courage, the courage to surrender. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means giving in to the flow of life. It means trusting that the universe has perfect timing and that your role is not to force but to align. When you release control, you release anxiety. And when you release anxiety, your energy field expands, allowing manifestation to flow freely. Trust is the antidote to control. The more you cultivate trust in the universe, the less you feel the need to manipulate outcomes. Trust comes from experience, but it also comes from practice. Start by looking back at your life and noticing how often things worked out better than you expected, even when you couldn't control them. Think about the blessings that arrived unexpectedly, the opportunities that appeared out of nowhere, the relationships that taught you lessons you didn't plan for. All of these are proof that the universe is constantly working in your favor. When you remember this truth, trust grows naturally. And as trust grows, control dissolves. Another powerful shift is moving from control to co-creation. Instead of thinking you have to control everything, realize that you are a co-creator with Source. This means you set the intention, align your energy, and then allow the universe to handle the orchestration. Co-creation is like a dance. You lead with your desire, but then you follow the rhythm of the universe. If you try to control the dance, you step on your partner's toes, but when you trust the rhythm, the dance becomes effortless and beautiful. Manifestation works the same way. Control tries to dominate the dance. Co-creation allows the flow. The moment you shift into co-creation, you step into ease, harmony, and synchronicity. Releasing control doesn't mean becoming passive. It doesn't mean sitting back and doing nothing. It means aligning with inspired action rather than forced action. Inspired action feels light, joyful, and natural. It comes from intuition, not fear. Forced action feels heavy, exhausting, and desperate. It comes from control. The difference between the two is massive when it comes to manifestation. Inspired action accelerates the process because it's aligned with your vibration. Forced action slows it down because it's misaligned. When you stop controlling and start listening to your intuition, you'll notice that the right steps appear at the right time. You'll meet the right people, get the right opportunities, and feel nudged toward the right path, all without effort. In the end, control is the fastest way to block manifestation because it disconnects you from trust, flow, and alignment. Manifestation is not about force, it is about resonance. It's about tuning yourself to the vibration of your desire and allowing it to come to you in perfect timing. Control is fear, and fear says, I don't believe. Surrender is love, and love says, it is already done. The moment you let go of control, you step into a state of allowance where miracles can happen. The universe is infinitely wise and infinitely abundant. It doesn't need your control, it needs your trust. So release the grip, open your hands, and allow your desires to flow in. The less you control, the faster you manifest.